Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. This is our third take. Today's January 11th. Let's get started.
We've forgotten how to do the news. It's robots and government today, and everything's back to normal. And we have a lot of stories.
And not a lot of patience. And you won't have a lot of patience come next tax season, because if you're going to take any payment over $600 from peer-to-peer, like maybe you and your friends go to really expensive dinners and everybody pays you through whatever.
It's $600 in a year. That would be like going out with your friends 8 times in a year. That would count. Or
if you just regularly have a side hustle or do something, or maybe you run a flea market and somebody says, hey, you take Venmo, your answer from now on should probably be no because of this.
Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App to report payments of $600 or more in a calendar year to the IRS. What to know? So this is the thing that we warned that was happening. This is basically the IRS is getting automatic reports of literally everybody's bank account, all of the activity, all of the traffic, all of the sources of money. Now, the IRS historically has really screwed this up. Last year, they came after Patreon and a bunch of others. And so the fun way this screws up your taxes is that these services will report that you collected more than $600. But if it goes into something else, like say PayPal was also already reporting. So the IRS will say, oh, we see that you misreported your income of an extra $600 because they're counting the $600 as income when it goes from Venmo to whatever, and then from that into your bank account, because they can see it from both sides now. They really screwed that up for a lot of people, so I expect that to happen with this as well. Not to mention the whole panopticon, knowing every little transaction. We must know it.
Pro criminal tip, cash is king.
The other fun thing is, theoretically, like if I pay Ryan $600 for something, for services, I could take that $600 off my taxes if I give him the appropriate paperwork, because then it's not really income. I've had to pay Ryan for something, and Ryan will have to report that on his taxes. This lets the IRS double dip, so they're counting on people not actually reporting that cumulative $600 thing. So you'll still pay income tax on that $600, and then whoever you gave the money to will pay income tax on it a second time, which is great.
Over in the FTC world, they've decided that your security is their business. I don't know, maybe they're not wrong. This is a really stupid thing to do, but how much is too much overreach? I guess not this.
The FTC warns
It doesn't work. I hate
it?
This computer.
The FTC warns of legal action against organizations that fail to patch Log4j flaw. So, remember Equifax? They leaked all the stuff. This won't matter once Equifax, there's an Equifax-like event for Log4j. We'll look back and laugh about how the FTC said there would be consequences, and there was no consequences.
Well, if they can find somebody, they will, for sure. And we all know that President Trump, one of the things that he did that was all of his own was the Space Force and the Cyber Command. I think Biden redid the Cyber Command in his own image, didn't he? Wasn't that one of his first things?
Yeah.
And what have they been up to? Didn't really hear much from them, as you probably shouldn't.
This is really disturbing, though, because this article was like, we had a major operation, and we have no idea what it was.
And it was way back in first of the year. Was it like March or something like that?
It was from March until August of 2021.
The best thing about this, and it went on for that long, but they say that the Secretary of Defense personally watched. What did he think he was looking at? I mean, if the Secretary of Defense, there is no way he knows what he's looking at there, right?
Great job, Randy, popping that shell. Good job. And it's just like, thank you, Mr. Secretary of Defense.
Boys, is this the Java scrap? I've heard all about it. Good job. All right.
You have to switch windows.
Because it doesn't fucking work.
It's the Warzone. Yeah, Cyber Command Task Force. So this is the Warzone article. Yeah, check that out.
Woo. We don't know what they did, just that they attacked somebody.
The article speculates it might have been SolarWinds related, but judging by the debacle that was SolarWinds, not real impressed so far.
You've definitely heard of this one at this point. This was big news. Unfortunately, we don't know when she is going to be sentenced, but we do know that something's going to happen to Miss Crazy Eyes.
Elizabeth Holmes' verdict. Former Theranos CEO is found guilty on 4 counts. 4 out of 11. She's not doing too bad. Still could be facing in excess of 20 years in prison.
Weren't most of the ones she was called out on were ones that were like basically things that crimes she committed against rich people,
Yeah.
not the actual people she like defrauded with the fake tests.
Yeah, it's like, if you are really in need of a blood test for critical medical care, you had no cause to be mad at.
She didn't get sentenced for any of that.
But if you lied to a rich person, that's very illegal.
And the government.
Oh, yeah.
And
the
embarrassed the
government.
New York Times. Can't do that.
All those people, very rich.
The other guy's trial is going to be interesting to see how that goes. Balwani, his trial's not until later in the year.
I was reading about, some people doing briefs about the defense, and they said, this is weird because she used the abuse defense. But in the history of these kinds of cases, people really don't care if you were abused. I was like, well, that's not a valid defense. You still did it, right? You're saying you did it, and it seems to have played out pretty much that way. And if you're thinking, hey, you know what, I'm going to get away from the IRS and that crazy $600 rule, I'm just going to roll with pure crypto. Well, are you using a centralized exchange? Because Coinbase is going to rat you out just as fast as Venmo will.
Yes.
So then you're going to say, well, all right, bro, I'm going to take it offline. Offline wallets, I'm going to run under the radar. I'm going to have my Bitcoin on me. Well, you might not want to do that either.
UK police forces have seized more than £300 million in Bitcoin because of other police activity involving catching criminals with laptops that have things or taking over their Coinbase account.
And that's the kind of thing, just like here in the good old US of A, when they take your cash, you're never getting it back.
No.
Doesn't matter if you're charged or not.
Or your Wu-Tang CDs, as it turns out, foreshadowing.
Oh.
We gave that up because to settle a restitution, right? And this, Krista and I have both purchased homes recently, and around in this area, this is a big deal. Sometimes I would do 2-3 days worth of research with hope blossoming in my heart that this amazing property would have some kind of internet access. Never did.
No.
And they were real cagey about that.
Yeah.
The realtors do not want to tell you that answer because it's going to turn you away from the house. And some people are saying, you got to tell us.
Washington State to require internet service disclosure when selling a house in the new year. Yeah, I can recall a couple of times where you asked the realtor and the realtor said, yes, fiber optic is available at this house. And they were just making shit up.
Well, and the FCC has a map you can go and look at and enter an address. And that's usually like fairly accurate, but it doesn't tell you anything about like cost or, yes, we think it's in the area, but maybe it doesn't run to that particular house. And
yeah, there's a lot of that around here.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a lot of ISPs where you go and put the address in and they're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we do service
I never
there.
trusted the ISPs.
Yeah, and then
I always went to the
them.
FCC site.
Yeah, you call them and they're like, oh, no, we can't do that.
The reason that service exists is because there's an auditor at the FCC that's checking to see if service is available at an address, and they key a random address in, and it's like, oh, yeah, it says it's supported, and they tick off the box without actually trying to sign up service.
Looking, yeah.
If you can't get a good ISP service in your area, you might be cursed with 5G. But the areas that don't have any kind of copper or fiber probably don't have great 5G either. And it might get a little bit worse because the standoff, which isn't really a standoff, this is basically the government saying, please, you know all that money that we give you constantly? You know how we never prosecute you for anything? Could you please just do this one little thing for us? Guess what the answer was?
AT&T and Verizon have rejected Buttigieg's plea to delay 5G launch amid warnings of aviation chaos. So they did say, Verizon and AT&T did say that if the aviation authority comes to us with specific cases of problems caused, then we'll dial it back. But until then, we're not doing anything.
And what can we do against the juggernaut that is the ISPs? You got to hope that a little plucky upstart will show up in your area and not also be terrible, which is the case in my house. And more, we see this, which seems good. I worry that there's something hiding here. But on the surface, you got to hope that more and more of this happens.
Public corporation created to bring high-speed broadband to all of Erie County. So basically the people in Erie County got fed up with all the nonsense and got together and said, we can do this. We are going to do this. And the really special thing about their situation is that there are 500 pair of fiber that are already running pretty much everywhere that aren't actually hooked up. So they're basically seizing the means of communication and, taking over. So that's good.
There's well, not quite the same, but like there's a similar thing in a county not far from us where like just some guy was like, there's no internet here. I'm going to change that. And now he has his own like little ISP that just serves that county. And it's apparently great.
That's what happened in our hometown. These guys figured it out a long time ago during cable.
Yeah.
And they said, no one wants to put poles in these mountains. No one wants to run the lines. We're going to invest in that. And now they own the place.
Yeah.
Like, they own the place to the extent that they were able to buy out other ISPs in the state, which is genuinely very impressive.
The service is amazingly bad because
what are you going to do?
You got no choice.
Yeah.
And soon we will not have this choice because, as you can see, piece by piece, it's being chipped away. Luckily, it's happening overseas first. Maybe we can hold on to it here. I don't know. But if you're in France, the commercials may sound a little different.
New French law requires car commercials to tell people to walk or bike instead. There's 3 phrases that the state demands that your commercials say, kind of like a Surgeon General's warning. But it's like, oh, you want to buy a car, so you want to ruin the planet for future generations. We understand.
For short journeys, walk or cycle. Think about carpooling and take public transport daily.
I imagine that might work in France where everything's really close together. But
yeah, the irony here is that the auto industry got ahead with public transit and destroyed public transit before it could take hold.
Yeah, at least here in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's also a pandemic?
No, I meant like in the 50s.
Yeah, like years ago.
Or like trains.
No, but they're telling people to get on public transport now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's probably not the best idea.
Just walk everywhere. Which, honestly, I love walking places, but I just live too far out.
Maybe DuPont has got like a personal self-containment thing. It's basically a giant garbage bag that you wear that's got a little tiny air filter on one side.
I could see that. Totally. They would love that. I mean, isn't that just the next step up from masks?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just wrap our citizens completely. Let's harvest the body heat somehow.
Use the body heat to run the fan that's doing the air exchanger.
Is France cool with work from home? Because that's also a big thing that saves on people having to drive places.
France is cool with taking a few days off.
Yeah. Here in the U.S., that's like, oh no, you can't take time off. Can't not be productive for 5 seconds.
One of the despair posters in the office is a picture of the Eiffel Tower, and it's like, something hard work rewards, but in some places hard work is illegal, and it's like this picture of the Eiffel Tower. It's like, I see what you did there.
Well, I like to keep a tally of things that are never going to happen. And
we covered this. This is when I got the population of Canada wrong, but this is the whole population.
Oh, did we already do this?
We've done this story, yeah.
But this is a follow-up. This has more information than our original story had in it, so it was nice.
It's not really worth covering.
Canada's public health agency admits it tracked 33 million mobile devices during the lockdown.
Oh, the story here is they admitted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was suspicion, but this is basically the entire population of Canada. Every citizen, everybody with a phone. Now, some people have more than one phone, but that's basically everybody.
And they admitted, in principle, oh God, this is so annoying because I can't switch back and forth easily. In principle, of course, cell data can be used for tracking. Really?
No, say it ain't so.
You don't say.
It was anonymized, don't worry, but only you have your unique location fingerprint, so.
You ever just think about getting a dumb phone? Sometimes I think about getting a dumb phone.
It doesn't matter. The best thing you can do is just leave your phone behind randomly.
I do that a lot by accident, but.
Yeah.
And once again in France, wow, those stories should have gone together, and they almost did, but I've accidentally pushed one in between them. They are taking the whole privacy thing pretty seriously, and of course, it comes down to the cookies. My God, the cookie situation. The fix for that only made things more annoying.
You're talking about the pop-up that's like, let's figure out what your cookie policy is.
Manage your cookies. And now I'm getting letters. It's like, can you change this data collection? Yes, call this 1-800 number. It will take you 45 minutes to get through that automated system to turn that off. So it's really the same situation with more hoops and more government fines.
Google and Facebook fight big privacy fines in France. Basically, France looked at this and said, well, you're still tracking individuals. You're using a lot of fancy college words here. But at the end of the day, you're still tracking an individual's movement and an individual's preferences. Stop doing that. And Google and Facebook both are taking this, well, technically this is a loophole and but I just don't think that's going to work out for them in the end, in terms of avoiding the fine.
And it may be outrageous. It may anger you to find out that the Canadian government was just spying on everybody because they felt like they could. Of course, like we learned 20 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
Our government's doing that. Germany's doing it. Australia's doing it. But China, China, they do it better than anybody. Unfortunately,
world-class champs.
Yeah, the best tracking system, China #1. But unfortunately, even the #1 system can have a breakdown. And when that happens and you depend on it for everything, it's bad.
So small.
China's, I can't. It's China's locked down Xi'an city in chaos after the app has crashed that tracks which citizen does what. So they're having a bit of an outbreak in that city. And by a bit of an outbreak, I mean that they have completely locked it down.
It's not the vid, though.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying it is.
Yeah.
But
there's been talk about it being hantavirus.
They have a health app that's tracking all sorts of things. So it might be the thing, it might be the other thing. But the app figures out, who is allowed to move and who isn't, but it's completely down and has been down for several days. And so the whole city has just basically shut down, which is pure chaos from what we understand.
There was one woman who was at the hospital waiting, couldn't get in because they're like, no, we're zero policy. You cannot enter here if you have that. And she was like, I don't have it. I just can't get the app. Lost the child. Yeah. That's a rough one. I don't know if the Chinese legal system gives you any recourse there, but if they do.
No, we don't even have recourse here. There are a lot of people that were turned away, similar situation where the hospitals were over capacity for other reasons.
But they weren't over capacity.
Oh, in China, you mean?
They just wouldn't let her in.
Yeah. It's a mess.
Now, these New York Times stories are long, and you really got to dig a lot for the nuggets. But this one isn't. It does give you a lot of details, and this is about how China deals not with their citizens, but with their ex-citizens and their visitors. Because if you go to China, or if you communicate with people in China, you will very likely experience this.
A digital manhunt: how Chinese police track critics on Twitter and Facebook. So basically, they figure out who talks about things, and you go on a list.
And you go and talk to them. So this one woman, she detailed how she visited her family. She's in the U.S. She visited her family and made some tweets about how crazy things were that her family were telling her. And they came and picked her up and took her down to the state office, had a little conversation with her.
Ooh.
She still had the balls to talk to the New York Times. I guess she doesn't plan on going back. Her poor family, though.
Yeah, I would say her family's still there, though.
And we've heard more about this. We got a hint of this a couple of months ago, but this is just a lot more disgusting details of how Tim Cook does whatever the Communist Party wants because he knows that he needs to sell those people a lot of Apple products.
In-depth report details Apple's shift to Chinese suppliers to cut costs and curry favor with Beijing. So remember stories from the past 2 years, really. It's like Apple's expanding operations in the Philippines. Apple's expanding operations in India. Apple's expanding here, there. Well, this is really, if you're interested in that kind of thing and you play stocks, you should really read this because there is a lot of good information in this about things that may be coming and leaked details from stuff a couple of years ago. Or if you reread those stories, now things make a little bit more sense.
What a great image. They don't give an attribution. I assume this is 9 to 5 Mac's own creation.
Yeah, probably. It's pretty good. Pretty solid. The shadow is really what makes it.
And China, if you remember, all the way back in the beginning of last year, they said, we have a problem with gaming. It's an addiction, and we're going to stamp it out. And one of the ways they did that was to stop offering new gaming licenses. Here we are 1 year later. Not a single gaming license has been granted in China. So, as you can imagine,
over 140,000 gaming firms close as China continues its new license freeze.
Is that what they were hoping for, you think?
I think so, yeah.
It's interesting to look at how ByteDance handled some of this with some of their games. So they have games that are not available in the Chinese market. That's one way that they're dealing with it. And the party seems completely okay with that. It's like, oh, you're making games that are aimed at non-Chinese markets. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Go for it.
Addict the Westerns, but leave our people alone. It's the opiate wars. Opium wars. And China, in addition to cracking down on their citizens and controlling every piece of their life, they are deep, deep into the space race. They're looking to start their own space station, and they've got a bunch of satellites up there, and they're doing some pretty impressive things.
China's Red Planet orbiter snaps amazing selfies above Red Planet. So that's a picture, but how did they do that? It had a camera module on it, and so it released the camera module, and the camera module took pictures over Wi-Fi. So that was a Wi-Fi connection from the camera to the satellite.
Do you remember when some of the phone companies were trying to do like little R&D projects where there was a tiny drone in your phone that could go out and take selfies?
Oh, yeah.
It's basically that technology.
Yeah.
But for a satellite.
Yeah. It worked well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you think it was tethered?
No, I think it was just one. I think it was a one shot. Like it's.
Oh, it's never coming back?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, that poor little guy. What if, isn't he going to be space debris now, though?
Yeah, it's going to be space
That's
debris.
not right. That's not good.
Space debris around Mars.
Just trash. What's your purpose? Take a selfie.
Of course, you're never going to get Netflix in China. That's never going to happen. But one step down the ladder of control is maybe Russia. And Russia says, yeah, we're going to let you have Netflix, but we're going to require some things from them.
Russia to require Netflix to stream state television broadcasts. Okay.
Is that...
You got to do... there's more rules than that, though.
Oh, we've lost it. Yeah, there's going to be a driver crash. It's fine.
It's not
There
fine.
it goes.
Hey.
So far from fine. There was another thing where this also has censorship built into it. So there's certain things that you cannot have on Netflix. And
Google, it's right there at the bottom. It's Google and Apple both. Google and Apple were both forced to remove content related to jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny and his associates ahead of Russia's whatchamacallit.
so that's part of the Netflix deal too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anything like that, you're done. I don't know. You think Netflix has anything that controversial? Is QD still on there? Kazakhstan, it's tough to get information out of Kazakhstan right now.
Yes.
Like, I'm curious exactly what's going on, because now you got people saying that, well, you got Putin saying that that's the U.S. government in there stirring things up. And that's why he should be able to take his troops in there. And maybe his troops are already in there. It's crazy, but the reason you can't get anything out is because there's nothing to come out.
Kazakhstan internet shutdown deals blow to global Bitcoin mining operations. So energy there was cheap, but this winter is harsh. And so there's not an energy surplus. And so the miners and the citizens are at odds with one another. The citizens had a subsidy for energy, but the government said, "Oh no, we can't subsidize that right now during these unprecedented times of demand." And the citizenry did not have that.
I think
They did not take well to that.
I think this table is really sticky. I think you're confusing the fuel subsidy with an electric subsidy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Bitcoin is a knock-on effect.
Yes.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
fuel subsidy is what caused the unrest. Or CIA spooks, if you trust Putin. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I'm sure somebody was on the ground.
But unrest there would only benefit Russia. So why would the CIA do that? It's not like Del Monte and the stuff going on with that company.
Unrest benefits whoever brings in a peacekeeping force.
So Russia.
I think you were actually thinking of Kosovo.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, because what you just described
Also
basically
happening.
Kosovo,
Yeah.
without the unrest.
Kosovo has banned cryptocurrency mining to save electricity because they're using crappy coal in their electrical generation facilities, and it can't really keep up. The citizens can burn the crappy coal themselves, but it has toxic byproducts, so you really don't want that sort of byproduct hanging around in your chimney in your house because it's not great.
Think about these energy prices, right? He's got 40 GPUs. We don't know what the GPUs are, but they sound like, based on the rate he was getting, they were pretty good. He's paying 170 euros a month in electricity for 40 GPUs, and he's pulling down nearly $3,000 in euros in crypto, or was, not anymore.
I mean, if that person only has 40 GPUs though, that's basically, a hobby miner. There's probably a lot of people like that, but it's not one of those extreme operation from China that had thousands of GPUs has moved to a small rural country.
Yeah, but based on the laws of finance. You know who else is doing that?
The large providers.
Anybody who knows it. Anybody who has the ability to buy 40 GPUs and knows that guy and knows what he's getting away with.
Yeah.
Because the returns are just astonishing. It's crazy. Now, we all know that Meta, Facebook, all of their properties have horrible, horrible things posted to them every day, to the point where people are literally losing their minds just trying to delete it fast enough. Like, they are literally getting suicidal, looking at the horror to try it so that we don't have to look at it. And mixed amongst all that horror, there's some extremism. Is that the fault of Meta? Or is it the fault of the extremists? We might find out in the U.S. court system.
Meta has been sued for alleged role in extremist-linked murder of federal guard. So this is happening, and it all happened in another country. Small country. I can't remember the country.
I also cannot remember the other country, but I'm sure that Oakland, California. What? That's not another country.
No, Underwood was shot outside a federal building in Oakland, California in May of 2020. The two men charged in the case were linked to a so-called Boogaloo anti-government movement.
Well, that's all homegrown. That's U.S.
A Boogaloo?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if Boogaloo. I don't know what Boogaloo is.
We've been flagged because that's probably a banned word.
Electric GPUs 2. GPU 2 electric Boogaloo. There we go.
Just going to let that one marinate a little bit.
Sorry.
So anyway, somebody's suing Meta, and it's because they didn't do enough to stop extremism, but what can they do? What can you do against the Boogaloo? There's the rhyme. We can't use that for a title, though, because of what Kristen said.
It's already been demonetized at this point, because we've said it like 4 times.
No.
And moving on, we have a big space section today, and I got to say, I was reading a lot about this thing, and it's such a marvel of engineering, but the number of moving parts, the confidence that they had is overwhelming, and it's just amazing. Are we at 100% yet?
Yes, it is 100% deployed.
This is a human accomplishment that is just beyond, I don't think most people understand how many things could have gone wrong here.
A lot, yeah. The James Webb Telescope the Sun Shield is fully deployed. So the whole thing is basically fully deployed. It was something like 192 pins had to be ejected and things
pulleys,
actuated. Yeah.
There's pulleys in there.
All it took was one failing, probably, to ruin that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing getting hitched up. One thing getting a kink in it.
Everything went according to plan, or everything went reasonably according to plan because it's fully deployed with no weird problems.
Now, this headline seems nice at the face of it. It seems like, oh, yeah, that's good because we should invest more in this. But we're not really investing here.
No, this is just keeping the lights on.
Right. What we're doing here is running a dangerously old car. Because we're not willing to replace it.
With no windshield wipers and a busted headlight.
We're taking our best and brightest and we're putting them in like an 84 Civic. And be like, here you go, guys, go to space.
We're looking at last year's maintenance, and last year's maintenance on the 84 Civic was like $62,000. And it's like, guys, we could have had a really nice car for the maintenance we put into this thing last year.
It says here one of the items was that the Russians put a hole in it. Shouldn't we get a new one? And they're saying, we're just going to run this one for another 9 years.
The Biden-Harris administration extends the space station operations through 2030. So this is a story about how, there's a budget, but it's just the operational budget. It literally is just to keep the lights on.
It feels like NASA's really just, other than this, but like they've really been hitting home runs lately, and they just release all their press releases right at this like end of the year, beginning of the year time.
Well, they're learning from Musk, right? They're learning to try to control the narrative better. Like, it's just a bunch of nerds who actually know how to do stuff, and they're like, we're getting killed by this guy. He's got no skills.
But see, Musk, like, he would release everything slowly, where it's like every 2 to 3 weeks he'll release like some sort of new tweet or press release, whereas NASA's just like, just dump it all now. We don't care.
Yeah, it's the Steve Jobs personality.
Yeah.
He's the marketer, not the innovator.
We need, it's like our budget depends on Randy, the mathlete, in order to, he's got to complete this, or we don't get our budget for the space station operation through 2020. And the whole thing's staged. It's like, good job, Randy, you did it.
Also, don't you think it's a little bittersweet? So let's say it's 2025, right? And you're just getting out of your PhD, and you're going to work for NASA, and they're like, good news. You're going up in 28. And you're like, oh, 28. that's the last possible time for this thing. It's going to be as damaged as it will ever be.
You get in there and everything's just rickety. You like go to turn a knob and it just floats off.
One of the tires on this Civic is more patch than tire.
So I guess you still go, because how can you pass up the opportunity? But it's got to be a little bit unnerving.
They tuck some duct tape down into your suit before you sit down.
Are we using the airbag as a fuel storage device?
Sloshing.
Yeah, keep that strapped to your leg. Meanwhile, China has their own space station that they're working on, and they're planning to use that to launch a bunch of different space missions. They're just going crazy.
China has the moon's south pole in its sights, with 3 missions launching this decade. And that's not all.
I saw an update just today. They claim that they have 100% found the water.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see that.
Now, this one, is the next story the one about the space
No,
rock?
that's in nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Although they do have a picture.
They do have a picture of it here, yeah.
Because that's the hottest story, right? But you
Everyone
gotta
wants to know.
Yeah, you got to wait till Friday.
Or you could just Google it right now because it's already happened.
Or join us on Patreon. the least economical way to find out about the space rock.
Man, I have been, I watched a documentary about Sany, the Chinese earth mover company. SANY. I think that's Sany, something like that. Every new model that they put out going forward has a black box with 20,000 points of telemetry that always, you can't turn it off, always goes back to China. They can, with the GPS, they could replay. They could send an earth mover out there and replay your earth moving with all that telemetry, like replaying your mouse clicks.
That's awesome.
John?
Yeah, because like if you're going to build a mini mall somewhere, you could just hit go on mini mall number 2 and the machine will just repeat it.
Well, the ground would be different.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they could compensate for that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
this is how CNC machining was born. It was like you just follow the machine operator making a C-clamp and then you hit replay and it makes another C-clamp.
CNF. So, I don't know that John Deere does that, but I suspect they do, right?
Yeah, it seems like...
I mean, how would you, if that's the industry leader, would they not be doing exactly the same kinds of things? Also, the other thing about that black box is fly-by-wire, full remote control. We're going to be in shipping containers when we're 65 running these things because we'll be good at it. Because, you know, I also have been playing some farming simulator.
Oh, were you good at it? Did you like it?
No, I'm terrible at it. But I'll be good by the time I'm 65, and then I can run. I'll probably be a trainer, right? White males probably won't be able to run the equipment. We'll be the trainers because you can't have them like out visible to the world. But John Deere is taking baby steps. I imagine they could do everything, but they're not going to roll it out all at once, I don't think.
No.
Because the kind of people they sell their products to, I think they're going to be sensitive to this kind of thing.
Yeah. John Deere breaks new ground with a self-driving tractor you can control from a phone. So here's an upfit kit for this thing, and the whole model is like $500,000, or the retrofit kit is probably going to be like $50K. They haven't actually decided on pricing yet. But the farmer that has been beta testing this with John Deere seems genuinely impressed with how automated it is. Right now they're just automating tilling, but a lot of farmers don't till apparently because it takes too long. But that's actually really hard on the soil not to till.
Now here's the craziest thing about it. They do not use any of the self-driving technology that's currently out there. They don't use LiDAR, and they don't use those other kinds of cameras. They use stereo cameras, several of them. And they claim when it comes to that, roads are one thing, but Earth and the fact that the Earth has a Z-index that you have to worry about more than roads changes everything, they claim, with LiDAR type stuff.
That makes sense to me.
So
Interesting.
definitely going to be some remote tractoring going on.
Well, once you train your tractor to till your land, the parameters aren't going to change from year to year. That is definitely a candidate for replay.
So that's what the Chinese said. They said that in their mind, it's not fully autonomous, but it's one guy running 10 tractors from, remote. So, because just when something happens, he steps in and he should be able to run 10 at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Here's one, I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I imagine that Krista does. And Krista, I would say put yourself in the shoes of Rembrandt or Klimt. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Klimt, yeah. Gustav Klimt.
100 years from now, let's say that, people are unearthing some Krista NFTs.
As you do.
But the data is corrupted. Do you want him to do something like this?
I want him to make it more corrupt.
Because it's so you don't want any more. You want it to be.
No, I want it to get weirder. Oh, you literally pulled up the smallest one.
No, it's not that small.
Artificial intelligence is restoring lost works by Klimt, Picasso, and Rembrandt, but not everyone is happy about it.
So it talks about one of the Picassos was lost in a fire.
I think that was the Klimt.
Or the Klimt, I guess. Yeah. And there are pictures of it, but they're only black and white pictures. But the AI can sort of recreate it in color based on descriptions and being trained with Klimt style and blah, blah,
But nobody knows if those colors are anywhere near accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing that restoration people do. Like, what's the name of that YouTube channel? Bumgardner Restoration, where he'll like go through and he'll get a painting and then he has to like patch certain parts of it. It's kind of like that, but with a computer instead of a person.
So are you against that?
No, not really. It's a necessary thing with works that are so old. Eventually, you're gonna have to like reframe them, revarnish them, like make patches to it as the paint degrades.
Does it become a ship of Theseus or my grandfather's axe or type situation?
This is not even a ship of Theseus. There's no original ship.
Yeah, well, there's the picture of the ship.
Yeah,
that counts.
I don't know that I would fully trust. I wouldn't trust a human to even get that right, just because like you can't really know if you don't have a full color photo to work from.
Well, I think they're pulling from all of his other work, which means that if he just went out on a limb on that one, that's interesting.
I mean, there's a little bit of that even with regular restoration. It's like, well, I'm trying to match this other shade of pink on a different part of the painting, but like maybe they didn't use this exact thing and it's just faded differently for that reason.
Couldn't we just focus on new art? I mean, do we really need to?
The new hotness in new art right now is the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Well, yeah. When you put it like that.
Yeah. New art is NFTs. So.
Okay. Different definitions of art here, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't consider that to be art. I guess it is on some level. What I do know is there is a new robot from Boston Dynamics, and it is a bit of a departure for them. Yeah. They've gone for the mobile robots up until now, and this guy stays in one place. But oh boy, is he more impressive than any of his peers.
This is a follow-up. We've seen him before, but a robot for the worst job in the warehouse, loading boxes onto the truck. So this conveyor belt and the robot actually move as one unit. So it can move itself in the container, but it's not really. I mean, it's not like Spot where it's completely mobile. This is just to unload the boxes into the truck.
Now they say that the truck unloading job is the least desirable in the warehouse, and they believe that with these things, one person could unload 10 trucks simultaneously, which probably that's kind of the same way that the Chinese were talking about with their earth moving equipment.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about going back to the Sany thing though? In that documentary, when the Chinese were just talking frankly, there was none of this like the U.S. companies do where they're lying about it. They're just like, oh my God, we cut the workforce by a third. It's incredible. We need like 10 less people to do this job and this job, and we're saving so much money. Whereas when American companies do that, they're like, oh, we're not firing anybody. No, this won't change anything.
They have different jobs now. They've got the oil can, and they've got to go spray the machine with oil every 10 minutes.
Yeah, their job is to find another job. And this is just a ridiculous. I almost put this in nonsense because can you imagine one of the most impressive technological feats in the world, and you put this is like like spending 10 years crafting the finest crystal wine glass and filling it up with Yoo-hoo. That's what this is.
Amazon is putting Alexa on the Orion spacecraft that Lockheed Martin is building for NASA.
NASA's like, why?
We've secretly replaced the HAL 9000 with Alexa. Let's see if anybody notices.
That'd be funny if they're on there shopping on Amazon and then Alexa, like the little thing is just spinning. She's trying to calculate their shipping.
She's like, oh, that's going to be pricey.
Good news. I found a delivery driver that works for SpaceX.
And here's an interesting way to use drones. At first, I thought the drone administered this itself.
Which is impressive.
That was terrifying. But it does not do that. It just makes itself available. You have to have a trained professional on hand. Luckily, these people had an actual doctor.
Drone carrying a defibrillator saves the first heart attack patient in Sweden. So there's a man, 71 years old, who's out shoveling his driveway. Got a lot of snow in Sweden, I guess. he had a heart attack. His neighbor was a doctor who had an app on his phone that was like request defibrillator. And the drone company deployed a drone, and the defibrillator was there within minutes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I wonder if the battery on that thing, I wonder how many shots it has in it.
Probably enough.
1 or 2 at most, right?
It's probably on the order of like 10.
Really? I was thinking it have to be a much bigger battery. Those crash carts are big.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure the answer to that is somewhere on the internet if I cared enough.
That's our local emergency thing when we had all the snow. We had like almost 10 inches of snow here, chat. And they put up a thing online, like on their Facebook page that was like, remember, hazards aren't just driving, and it was about heart attacks when shoveling snow.
Christy, you just opened up the floodgate of 10 inches. Try northern Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we don't have the infrastructure for that here. And our roads are tiny little curvy mountain roads.
Yeah, it does not. And the drivers, they just shut down. Like mentally, I feel like the fear creeps in and people lose all their ability to do anything. It's amazing.
There's at least one place where the road has been gone from 2 lanes to 1 because of a washout, and it's been that way for a year.
Yeah.
It's probably going to wash out some more today because it's pouring rain now.
And our final story has to do with the new year because people make New Year's resolutions. Do you guys do New Year's resolutions?
No. I did write a journal entry of like all the things I felt like I accomplished this year and things I would like to try and accomplish this year.
What was number 1?
Buying a house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then it was like other things that I would like to do more of this year.
That's good. I like that your number 1 item was capitalism.
Well,
That's beautiful.
I wanted a home. You know what was amazing about having a home this winter is that when it got really cold, instead of having to bundle up and run space heaters, all the windows in this house are actually like insulated and the doors don't have an inch crack under them like our apartment did.
Well, your resolution for 2022 is probably not to buy another house.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely not.
So maybe you will be able to use this AI who will step in and create a resolution for you. But they're silly.
Oh, it's so small. Maybe 2022 should be the year we turn over decision making to the AI. I'm going to say no.
Let's think about that for a
That's
second.
a no from me, dog.
There's a $1 trillion company whose algorithm is constantly breathing down our neck as we make these silly little shows every week. Do we really think that...
Let's put them in charge of everything. Why not?
And that's the best that a $1 trillion company can come up with. And it is so awful. So awful.
So just a couple of the examples here. You might want to change your name to one of your favorite shapes. What was your favorite? What would you change your name to, Krista?
Oh, favorite shape? I don't know if I have a favorite shape.
Square.
Yeah, maybe like a star? I don't know.
I would definitely go tetrahedron. Or for every Friday for a year, I will wear a different hat. That's a lot of hats. That's a non-trivial hat investment.
This could be a business idea, the Hat of the Week Club, and it's a rental?
Yeah, but then you got to recycle it. And finally, every time I hear bells for a month, I will paint a potato. Now, does that mean you have to hear bells for the entire month, or paint potatoes for the entire month, or just during that month you follow that rule?
Painting a canvas with a potato, or are you painting the potato directly?
I guess you can interpret, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to take it.
The AI is not giving me specific enough instructions, and it's failed.
I'm pretty sure the AI is a very proto version of Gladys.
It's GPT-3. So they've trained it on other resolutions, I guess, and it came up with this nonsense.
How did it come up with bells and potatoes? Who had something like that?
How did it come up with Willy Wonka,
Yeah, ripping off his face.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's also another nonsense story where it's like, oh, we could have talked about our experiences with AI Dungeon once again.
We tried playing that one during the Sober Up stream, and it was not quite as good, but I think that might have been our state, too.
A lot of these, they cherry pick the most exciting ones, the weirdest ones, and the other ones are very mundane. Like, I guess this is the best one they could find. Go into a library, climb up onto a shelf, yell down, "I'm a giant giraffe."
That one would be easy to cross off the list.
Yeah, but would you feel better afterwards?
No.
You just feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
Because you would be.
Yay, algorithm.
You'd get kicked out for yelling in the library.
Depends on the library, probably.
Yeah.
There's the book Algorithms to Live By if you really want to try to live by algorithms, but yeah.
Also, subtitle should be How to Be a Robot. It literally is like, oh, you could just meet with these people and judge them individually. Nah, throw away 15% of them right off the top, because that's what a robot does.
But it's funny you say that, because that's literally what happens when you go to work for Amazon or Google or Microsoft.
And
Yeah,
you're
they just
advocating for
filter
that?
through
No, it's just saying, it's like,
Well, tomorrow we got a crazy day because there was so much business news that tomorrow will be nothing but business. And this week we'll have zero. Well, actually, I think there's one story I put in somewhere else. Zero social media stories.
Wow.
Nice.
How did we get zero social media stories?
I feel like that's a small Christmas miracle. A great way to start 2022.
Yeah, maybe.
they're all trying to fly under the radar because they did very bad things last year. They're dealing with the coal shipment from Santa.
Maybe.
That's what's blocking the ports. It's all Mark Zuckerberg's coal.
Oh.
All right.
Bye. Hello, everybody. It's Level 1 News, and it's January 12th, and it's all business today. Woo!
So much the beginning of your business.
Lots of business stories. Of course, there's lots of new hardware and lots of new announcements and stuff. Companies don't go too crazy here, but we did have CES, and wasn't there another trade show?
A lot of people were asking if we were going to go to CES, and I was like, I don't think anyone's going to CES.
No one cares about CES.
Well, they did announce some things, but the first thing we need to talk about is hyperinflation. Because
Pretty sure that word's going on the list too.
Oh, yeah. For
during
YouTube.
during Hflation, money needs to go somewhere. Hot money. Where's it going to go? Well, I think a lot of it is going into a certain stock.
Apple becomes the first U.S. company to reach $3 trillion market cap. That makes sense. They totally have an amazing product. You know, I saw I don't know if it was mentioned in this article, but the article that I read that covered this, 87% of people aged 18 or 16 to 25 iPhones.
Oh, I saw that too, and I was like, really?
Wait a minute. So the Android is...
It's the old people phone.
It's got the old people have to be overwhelmingly the other direction, right?
One of the things in the article that I read that was cited for reasoning that is something called Apple bullying. In iMessage, if you don't all have iPhones, it colors whoever doesn't have an iPhone, their messages are green.
Oh, I would wire that with pride.
Yeah.
Green power.
Yeah, but, you know, teens are horrible people. It's like, oh, do we really want
You don't have an iPhone.
the Android user in our group iMessage chat? Because children are terrible.
Oh, look, everybody, it's me, the green pureblood. Deal with it. I wouldn't be in a group chat to begin with.
Have you guys been doing this? I noticed I've had this happen to me twice now, where my phone number has, I guess, ended up in some sort of like marketing thing. So it's like just a group message, and it's a bunch of random numbers, but they're all like in numerical order.
I've never had that.
I've had that happen to me, I think, once or twice now. I had that happen the other day. It was very annoying.
You should go online and get one of those like horrific pictures of unwanted nudes some guy has sent and just send that into the group chat.
I reported it to the FCC. They have a form for that kind of thing.
Krista, you're such a snitch.
I am.
Well, and you know what? The other thing about that $3 trillion market cap, remember the last big announcement we got from Apple was that they were scaling back iPhones because they couldn't sell them.
Yeah.
That's weird. But maybe they'll be able to sell this, although if this is AR, it looks a little unwieldy to be wearing on the streets, don't you think?
Yeah.
Unless you want to be really cool.
Apple's mixed reality headset, set to launch in 2022, will be equipped with 3 displays, according to a research report, MOLED and 2 OLED real high resolution. We have no idea what the third display could be used for, but that really doesn't sound like an augmented reality headset. Augmented reality headset would be something like a pair of glasses, where mostly you see the real world through your glasses, and then there's a little bit of heads up or outlines of something like that.
Also, are you going to walk through a rough city wearing that $1,200
Absolutely
thing
not.
on your head?
No.
And you don't see when somebody's coming to snatch it off? They did say that the possibility for those cheaper displays might be that they're experimenting with a periphery where resolution doesn't matter because you only see the periphery. That's interesting. But that will not be the only choice. Well, I guess this is not really AR, right? This one's definitely going to be a tether, but I bet it'll be a lot cheaper.
Sony gives first details on next-gen PSVR2 headset for PS5. 2000 by 2000 resolution for each eye. That's going to be for the PS5. It's also got an expanded field of view over the first VR headset.
Is this
No one can get a PS5.
maybe this is an engagement challenge. Do we pronounce that foveated or foveated?
I think it's foveated.
Foveated?
I don't know, though. I should know because that's come up in a lot of A&D's press presentations.
So, yeah. They already had the one that came with the PS5. I think people were somewhat happy with that. But this one's going to make it a lot cooler.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's going to be a lot cooler that's coming from Sony is a hot new kind of Pixel. That's right. Every year we have to have a new kind of Pixel, and they've done it with quantum dots.
Sony announces the world's first quantum dot OLED 4K TV coming late this year. Samsung did have an announcement. This Verge article was like, Samsung hasn't said anything yet. They have now.
So this is supposed to compete with the regular OLED.
Except not have burn-in.
It's got a different kind of technology. We'll see. We'll see who wins. There is a lot of choice. I'm thinking about buying a TV. There's a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
I've been very happy with the OLED that I bought, and it's only exhibiting minor signs of burn-in, and that's from heavy usage.
For how long?
Like 8-10 hours a day.
But, I mean, it's like how long?
Over a
overall?
year. It's like 18 months.
See, I need it to run for 5-6 years at least.
It's probably going to be pushing it.
But there's a lot of choices when it comes to TVs, right? But one TV that you might want to put on the do not buy list is Samsung, because unfortunately, I believe that all the companies will do this, right?
Yes.
You think
Yes.
any TV company will avoid this?
This is like, it's like we shouldn't buy the TVs because it's a smart TV. It's like everybody has smart TVs.
And what's funny is because this is the dumbest thing that you could do on
The
a TV.
dumbest smart TV ever. Samsung is putting NFTs in its smart TVs. You can now Bored Ape with live TV.
That's funny because she probably wrote that before the Bored Apes were all stolen.
I don't think it was all of them, but an art gallery lost their entire Bored Ape collection, which had like 10 in it.
Yeah, and if you put them on your TV hot wallet storage, you're gonna lose them.
Yeah.
NVIDIA has a new flagship GPU, and as I understand it, these are really easy to get, right?
There's not even any details about this one. The one that's supposed to be easier to get is the 3050. The 3090 Ti is what they teased, but they didn't really give us any technical details. They just said,
And you know what? You know why they didn't? Because they know they don't have to.
What's really crazy is that $1,500 3090 that launched forever ago still sells for close to $3,000.
Yeah, and this one will sell for $5,000, and they know that. Intel also had some announcements, although this is the less exciting part of the announcement, as they blew the exciting part a long time ago. The really nice chips, these are the middle of the road and the laptops.
Intel announces 12th Gen Core Alder Lake, 22 new desktop S CPUs, 8 new laptop H CPUs. So things are a little weird with the desktop CPUs, as you probably know. You know, the high-end, the i9 can use 241 watts all the time. Well, the non-K, the non-overclocking parts, they'll still turbo up to over 200 watts, but that is a limited time duration.
And you got all that processing power, you're going to need a fast hard drive. And if you must have the fastest hard drive, Intel is going to take care of you there as well.
Intel demos lightning fast 13.8 gigabit PCIe 5.0 SSD with Alder Lake. This is on Tom's Hardware. I got hands-on with one of these. The video for that is probably out by now or will be out soon.
Hopefully is out by now.
Woo! These are Samsung enterprise-grade SSDs, but Phison is not far behind with their E26 PCIe 5 controller.
And not to be left out, AMD, of course, had to make their own announcements.
AMD announces Ryzen 6000 mobile CPUs for laptop Zen 3 Plus on 6 nanometers with RDNA 2 graphics. That's pretty exciting. There's a lot of products that are based around these Zen 3 APUs as well that were announced, like the Avaya Neo and a bunch of laptop designs, and the performance looks good and all this other kind of stuff. Really exciting. They also announced the 6500 GPU and some other stuff, and details are coming. I don't know.
Now that the NFTs in your Samsung TV will not be the only hot new item that you have to show off. However, this one I feel, I was thinking about this. How often do I change the batteries here? It's like once a year.
I feel like we change ours out maybe twice a year, but we use rechargeable batteries, so it's not really that big of a deal.
I don't know that this is really going to save the planet, but it is cool. It's cool that they can do this. Maybe it'll get better.
Samsung's new TV remote uses radio waves from your router to stay charged. Seems like a gimmick.
It has a little, it says charges from solar energy too. Looks like is there a little solar panel on the back?
Not only that, but this is such a low power device. Remember those old solar calculators that would run just off of a regular light? This will as well. I mean, it's a remote control.
It's cool, but maybe not that cool.
What's going to happen is, like 5-6 years down the road, you're going to have a lithium-ion battery that's just annoying that you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Although your TV's going to die way before then, right? Doesn't matter.
Just throw it in the dumpster like we do with everything else.
Just throw it in the dumpster, and then now because that's a lithium battery, you're not supposed to do that.
Oh yeah.
Do you think anybody ever pays attention to that?
No,
I don't.
My mom does.
There's probably just gouts of flame at the landfill. Asus had a little bit of a faux pas, and the support team apparently wasn't able to figure this out, whereas some random person on Reddit was.
Yay. YouTuber figured out Asus Z690 Hero motherboards melted down due to backwards capacitor. I think that was Buildzoid. He diagnosed the issues with pictures posted to Reddit and support forums. So the big capacitor there just above the memory slot, some Asus boards, they soldered it in backwards, which is non-fatal. It'll work for a little while until the regulator gives up the ghost and explodes.
We weren't sure until the update to that story whether or not that guy was right. Turns out Asus has commented on it, and while they didn't come right out and say it, they pretty much confirmed, yep, we screwed that up. Get in touch with us. I imagine that typing on one of these is going to be a nightmare.
It doesn't look fun.
You like those little 10 keyless keyboards.
I do.
I think those are also too small, too cramped.
I like the ones that have the function key row. The Model F that I have doesn't have the function key row, and I find myself missing the function key row.
Oh my God. But it does have this little thing on the side. Now, Krista, maybe this is your kind of thing. Do you think you could benefit from this? I think it's like you can use a pen, right?
You use a pen on the other part too.
I would almost rather just have the iPad though.
I think this is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Lenovo ThinkBook Plus Gen 3 found a weird new place to add a second screen, and we're into it. I don't know that I am.
It's going to have so much
not level 1 text
palm smut on it.
Yeah. Well, and like drawing on that, your hand's going to be hanging off the edge of the thing anyway, so then it's going to be weird. Like you're not going to be able to get a good angle.
It's definitely not made for left-handed people.
Yeah.
Oh, you think they make one on the left?
No. Left-handed people had to suffer.
Look how uncomfortable that looks.
That does look terrible. I bet they'll sell a piece that you can slide under there.
What a waste, though. Just why bother?
It's ridiculous. This is almost as bad as the foldable phones. I hope that doesn't catch on.
I remember being
it's going to.
So excited for the Microsoft IntelliMouse Explorer that had the thing, and they never made a left-handed version. I had to learn how to mouse with my right hand.
Are you talking about the one with the thumb ball?
Yeah. No. It was the big mouse, but it was like the bear claw. So it was a huge mouse that had huge buttons and a laser, and it was great. But they never made a left-handed version because it was sculpted to your right hand.
Okay. You ever try one of those vertical mice?
Not for any extended period of time. I've tried it.
Those are weird.
But
those are weird. Yeah.
I know somebody that's got a wrist injury that loves theirs.
I imagine we're all heading there, right?
Just slowly moving our way into arthritis.
Well, I have a Microsoft Surface, and I have no intention of ever putting Windows 11 on it. Why would you? It's really only for watching movies and checking the web when you first wake up. But Microsoft wants you to do it. They want you to do it a lot, and they're very disappointed in you.
30% of supported Surface devices don't have Windows 11 driver packages yet. So if you got a Surface and Microsoft says, yep, you can put Windows 11 on it, they haven't written the drivers for Windows 11 yet. You can still use the Windows 10 drivers somewhat, but it's not as good as, native Windows 10. Windows 11 with Windows 10 drivers is not great.
You know what I never noticed back in the day? I think the animators, they probably didn't get the best artists for that show. Carmen Sandiego has an amazing, her shoulders and her arms and her upper body. Look how big they are.
Yeah.
She's a brute with that tiny waist. She's like a bodybuilder.
That was kind of the 80s style, though. Like women had shoulder pads and stuff. That was the silhouette of the time period.
If I was trying to blend into the crowd and I was a woman, I wouldn't want football shoulders like that.
I wouldn't want bright red. Because then it's like, where did that woman go? Yeah. And it's like, oh, you mean the one in the bright red coat? That way.
The one in the bright red coat doing shoulder shrugs over in the corner all the time. Try to maintain that. Electronic vehicles continue. I got to say, do you think anybody is close to taking the brass ring away from Musk?
Not yet.
Was
Maybe
it the Chevy Bolt? They had to recall every single one of them.
Yeah.
Although, didn't Tesla have to recall a bunch too?
Yeah. They had some that were mismanufactured at their tent plant.
So that is, the electric vehicle right now is a rich person's game, pretty much. So it makes sense for this company to wade in.
Mercedes-Benz boasts a 620-mile range for its latest EV concept. The automaker claims solar panels on the roof can extend the range.
What an ugly thing, though.
There were two things that came out of CES for the electric car, and one of them was, I think it was a Mercedes, but maybe not. There was one of the LiDAR companies was showing off their LiDAR installation in a high-end luxury car, and they had a little kid on a skateboard. It was like a cloth mock-up. And so they were like, let's see how that works with LiDAR. And so like the car was coming along and they threw the kid out in front of the car and the car stopped immediately. It was great. And then they set up the Tesla Model Y with the same kid. And this time they didn't throw it out in front of the car. They just left it in its lane and they had the LiDAR one in the other lane. And the LiDAR one stopped and the Tesla was just like...
it accelerated.
Yeah, just ran it right over. So that was pretty fun.
Look at this dashboard. That's a crazy dashboard.
It is
because it's all just screens.
You think that's multiple displays?
Yeah, probably.
And one of them's going to go out?
Yeah,
Or you got gloves on because you're driving and it's cold and you can't hit the button.
You got to wear special $300 gloves.
Or just tell your driver to do it because you don't drive his car yourself.
Oh, yeah. I was rambling because I thought that was the last story, but it wasn't the last story at all.
So, no, in fact...
We've got a lot of stories this week for business.
If you cannot afford the... Mercedes electric vehicle, then maybe you can wait for the General Motor one, except that the price here is not available because this version, this price in the headline doesn't come out for a while. The actual first price is going to be $109,000.
Chevy Silverado EVs reveals GM's best-selling truck goes electric, up to 400 miles of range, and starting price of $39,900.
There it is.
Of course, the dealer premium on top of the $39,900 is going to be another $39,900.
It just looks like Silverado. I hate modern trucks though. Like, look at this little.
What the hell are you supposed to haul in that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, why? This is just an SUV. This is an SUV, and they cut a part of the roof off.
Because it's people who don't actually need trucks, right? It's just people who like the idea of a truck and never have to haul anything.
I often get stopped in parking lots because my Silverado is a 2011, and it has the single cab, which is you can't get anymore. And some guys will be like, "You looking to sell that single cab?" Because people want it. People want a single cab, but no, they don't make them anymore.
Did you see the video of this?
It is amazing.
It's really cool.
But you can't buy it. First of all, let's just put it out there. You can't buy this.
Pretty sure I saw this in Knight Rider.
There's nothing close to production, and I don't think they'll ever make this.
No, because it's too much of a liability.
And it's going to be $1 billion. This is got to be crazy expensive.
BMW debuts its new color-changing paint technology at CES. Now you too can have a camouflage car so that other cars can't see you.
I'm thinking more like a car hit me and it was gray, but it was turning white as I drove away.
But also, did I get I don't know if I changed that or not. But also, let's say a cop hits you with the radar. And then by the time he gets you, he's like, I thought that was a silver car. And he's like, oh, wait, this is the color-changing BMW that everybody knows about.
Double fines.
And we have cameras.
Yeah.
That'll be fun for the DMV to have to update the color field.
Plus, also, there's all those traffic stops where the cops like, you can't have your iPad mounted in the middle like that. It's like, this is a Model Y. I can't
remove it.
Those super cops who are always busting you because of the tint on your windows. It's like, I'm sorry, sir. You were changing colors at an intersection, and that's illegal.
I saw one of those where the guy had a tint meter in his car, and he's like, here's the thing. And it was like, you clip it on the side of the glass, and it was within the legal limit. And the guy was just like,
But I'm sure the cop would be like, I don't know who calibrated that. Here's your ticket.
Yeah.
The only videos I saw of this were white to gray and gray to white. Is there any other colors so far?
It only goes from white to black and everything in between. So a color version, they said like maybe they would work on it, but again, they don't expect anybody to buy this.
No. That's like a mod you get in GTA, but not in real life.
Because the color changing paint that just is the refractive color changing paint, that stuff is It's like $500 a gallon or something like that.
Whew.
It's crazy.
Oh, I've got a small chip on the side that's going to be about $1,000 to fix.
Maybe even more than that, because now there's going to be an electrical component, right?
Yeah.
Or a rock hit the hood, and now all the electronics are off. I would kind of like to play with one of these things, but the amount of time you would have to dedicate to teaching yourself this, how long do you think it would take you just to get to your current word per minute?
See, I don't know, because I didn't type correctly when I was younger, and it took me about 6 months to learn to type correctly. And with this, I think it'd probably be 6 months, a year, maybe. Would it be worth it?
That's still a lot of time to invest, but it will make you blindingly fast at typing if you put in the work.
This keyboard lets people type so fast it's banned from typing competitions. What was the name of it? I was like, yes, I want to try this, but then it was like $400, and I was like, ooh.
Not that much. I don't want to try that much.
Caracorder, yeah. So this is a cording type keyboard, so you can basically do multiple keystrokes at once. But yeah, 500 words per minute with some practice.
That was the CEO, and he submitted it to a competition, and they said that's impossible. And he submitted a video, and they said, no, that's cheating.
That keyboard's not a standard keyboard.
Also, I didn't know there was competitive typing, but of course there is.
Well, how would there not be?
Yeah.
Come on. If there's competitive
That's the real
hot
story.
dog eating, Krista.
Yeah.
And this is the one kind of social media story that I was just like, yeah, put that somewhere else, because I'm not doing a whole section just for one story. And this is not even a big story. And it was updated, and they're saying it's not true.
Report: Meta pulls the plug on its AR/VR operating system, updated to say it's not dead yet. It doesn't want to go on the cart.
It doesn't want to go on the cart, but they want it to go on the cart.
But they definitely did have like a 300-person team that they have now pulled off of this.
Wow.
I'm feeling better.
I bet that's really frustrating for someone who's really excited about VR, and it's like, we're just going to throw you on like the social media division. It's like, no.
I think I'll go for a walk.
I think if you've already been at Facebook for 4 or 5 months, that's probably the least of the things that you're angry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Krista, you have talked about solar roofing,
Right.
and you seem to be very much on the fence about it. Perhaps this new technology could move you ahead, because it does seem like it's going to make it easier to install, which is a big part of the cost.
New solar roof emulates asphalt shingles right down to the nails. I missed this story.
So in your house hunt, and maybe somebody else we know their house hunt, they found a couple houses that had solar, but in at least one case, the solar was installed on top of a roof that was well past its replace by date. And if
So you have to remove all of the panels and then
reinstall them.
put your new roof on and then reinstall the panels again.
And when the time comes that roof has to be replaced, do it all again.
Yeah.
But the solar panels are the roofing material, and they're thinner, and they can be walked on, unlike traditional solar panels. So they might be onto something with this. These are also 40-watt panels, which changes the rules for the underwriter's lab and the electrical part of it, and makes it a little safer. So the inverter situation is safer. It doesn't require cables that are as big. It does require more cables and more interconnects, but it's a little different situation than other types of solar panels as far as the electrical connection goes.
I think if I were ever to do solar, I would probably actually want it closer to the ground because it's easier to maintain that way. Because I have a family friend of ours who lives off grid, and they have solar panels, but they have them on the ground because if it snows, like what we got the other day, you have to go out and sweep them. And you don't want to get on the roof during that.
Yeah, but you're going to go outside, and there's going to be feral cats lounging on your solar panel.
Yeah. That's the price you pay
When I went
for being grid independent.
When I went, my Corvette, I really baby it. Like, I don't drive it in the rain. I won't drive it this entire week because there'll be salt. And I took it to my parents' house because I don't trust the truck on long trips. And I came out to get something out of it, and it was just covered with cats.
Oh.
There were 4 cars sitting there, and they explicitly chose the Corvette.
Were you happy or sad about that?
No, because it's got paw prints all over it now.
That's cute. Think how cute your car's going to be going down
yeah.
the road.
Now, I remember we did a story about this. I believe This says it like it's an allegation. Wasn't it proven that they were making these payments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know that this is absolutely true.
They came out in one of the other court cases. That's one of the things Lena Khan's working on.
It's just that, so we know that it's true, but is it something that you can sue for? I guess is the only question.
Is it
here.
is it an FTC violation?
It's got to be.
Lawsuit says Google pays Apple to keep away from the internet search market. So it's a complicated business relationship, but basically it seems tantamount to that, is what Payments is saying. Guess we'll see in the lawsuit.
Yeah, and they're saying that that whole thing is obviously anti-competitive.
How could it not be?
It certainly seems that way. So they're looking to get a lawsuit, and they're trying to make it class action. Because everybody's affected. Who's
Yeah.
not affected by this?
Certainly 87% of teens that have phones.
And I also saw some stories that were disputing this. Did you see the dispute stories?
Yes.
Some people claim it's still around. I didn't bother to check.
I think it's taken a new form. Beta News says, "Rip popcorn time. The quote-unquote Netflix of piracy is no more." So the authors of this stated that, well, there's waning interest. And I believe that. There probably is waning interest in popcorn time because there are much better alternatives now that are way more underground.
But we shouldn't talk about them.
We will not be talking about those.
And this is probably not a huge blow to the chip shortage, but it's certainly going to pile on. It's the kind of thing we don't need right now.
Chip manufacturing equipment vendor ASML reports fire at a Berlin factory. So they've issued a report and said we're basically, after this, said that they're basically okay. But if you've never heard of these people, both Intel and Taiwan, and probably Taiwanese Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, and probably also Samsung, this is the company that makes the extreme ultraviolet bulbs, for at the risk of oversimplifying what they are, that all of chip making uses for their ultra high density lithography. So that company's incredibly important. Also, it said they have 1,200 employees, but they pulled down $6.9 billion last year. I hope everybody in that company is a multi-millionaire.
Something
They're
tells
making
me
a lot
no.
of money. Yeah.
Don't
They're
think
probably all
that's
paid
the
like minimum wage.
And this is not a surprise. We knew that Huawei was hurting. They kind of kept a brave face on there for a while. But at the end of the year, when the numbers come out, they're not good.
Sanction-hit Huawei says revenues are down 29% this year. Yeah, they're not allowed to sell to anybody. And they're also not allowed to buy things.
That'll hurt you in business.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
It's very important to be able to sell your product. Critical, some would say. And this is a story.
Follow-up?
Well, we've been following this up since we've been doing Level 1 News. One of the first things we talked about in Level 1 News was Amazon and their campaign to destroy the library system. Here we are. When did we start doing that? 2017?
2016.
5-6 years later. And I don't think that the people have gained any ground in that fight.
They've gained a tiny little bit of ground in Maryland.
Like one pinky toe.
Yeah.
But Amazon is fighting back as hard as they can.
Libraries demand a new deal on ebooks. So this is kind of a follow-up to the story. There's a state law in Maryland now that publishers like Amazon, because Amazon is a publisher, whether you like it or not, have to offer ebooks for reasonable deals to libraries, recognizing that ebooks have DRM and controls and that kind of thing that print books don't have. You can buy an ebook that's non-transferable. I mean, that sort of throws the whole first sale doctrine on its head. If I buy a book and the publisher can't control how I resell the book, as long as I am not making a copy of the book or anything like that. So a library can buy a book and lend it out. That's been a thing since we formed these great United States, and even before then.
And they pay a lot for them, too.
Yeah. Well, they pay extra voluntarily to not fight with the publishing industry. But they don't. The publishing industry is like, no, the line must be drawn here, this far, no farther for ebooks. Because ebooks are convenient, and the publishing industry is scared to death that people will just borrow books from the library, read them, and return them rather than actually buy them.
And people are motivated to go through. The library borrowing system is kind of a pain,
Yeah.
but people are now motivated because they're stuck at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people use the library, even just for non-book related stuff.
The library is a great thing and should be preserved and protected from the likes of Jeff Bezos.
None of us are in this situation, but should we ever be living without internet, I would be at the library every day.
All the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one place you can go to get free internet.
Well, and even just like, if you're in a position where maybe you're homeless or you're living out of your car and you need a warm place to stay for a little bit just to like bide some time, you go to the
I
library.
think they discourage that, Kristen.
They do, but like it's a public place. You should be able to be in certain public places without needing to pay money.
They could ask you to leave if your scent is too overpowering.
It's too overpowering, but
Well, here's an interesting court case. I think I know how it's going to go, but I don't know if I agree with it. Even though you have to side with the non-cheaters, the argument is, I made something that affects something that you made. Should you now have control over it? I don't think so.
Activision goes to court to stop Call of Duty cheat software. Engine-owning software helps tens of thousands of cheaters, lawsuit alleges. So I think if in the terms of service of using their online thing, it says you won't do that, then okay, maybe there's something.
But what if I say I never bought their product? I guess I'd have to make this, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
If I could somehow prove that I did this blindly without owning Call of Duty, maybe I could have an argument. But yeah, it is disgusting, and I'm sure, well, there's no chance that at least one of you that's watching this doesn't do this. Why?
The feeling of power.
There's
no other feeling of power in their life, so they must do this.
Yeah, and that is the most pathetic human being, except for the people who do this when you're not wearing a mask. That's who you are, by the way. That's who you are. You're the Karen. You're the Karen who needs that power dose. Don't be that. Be better.
There's no details in this article, and that's so frustrating.
Well, it's so far out. But they did this with Lord of the Rings as well.
The Lord of the Rings is supposed to be released like late next year, and they still haven't really released any marketing info for it outside of like a single image.
Wheel of Time was maybe like my favorite thing that Amazon has done so far. It's watchable, but they really betrayed the source material.
I have no hopes for the Lord of the Rings series
and
at
then
all.
We'll find out about Lord of the Rings. When does that come out?
Like end of next year. Or end of this year, rather, I guess. It's 2022 now.
And so now we have another franchise that they've purchased the rights to for them to ruin.
Amazon's Fallout TV series is about to enter production. That's all we know. They bought the rights. They have the rights. That's all we know.
And that's for sure a screenshot from Fallout 4, not from
anything.
It's going to be live action, I imagine.
Yeah. The thing about the Lord of the Rings series that's scary is that they're adapting a time period that doesn't have as much written material for it. So it's got like a tale of years, which is like just a chronological detail of what everything happened. And then there's a few short stories in that period, but not much else. And I'm like, they're not going to be able to connect the dots on that.
Guess who it is?
He's also angry.
He loves Fallout. You know who he loves? He loves the tunnel snakes.
Oh, he's really loud today.
It's the first time we've heard him for 2022.
For all winter so far.
That's the boiler snake, in case you're new.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, new people.
And our final story. Now, is there not a rule about financing somebody else's lawsuits?
I thought there was.
It's but you can do it, because remember when Hulk Hogan sued Gawker?
Yeah.
Another guy funded that.
Yeah.
But it's very specific. You have to be like inside the lines. You can't benefit from the settlement, I think, right? Yeah. In this case, I think they would.
Yeah.
I think this is going to get a big court battle of whether or not this should even exist.
Tech startup wants to gamify suing people using crypto tokens.
What a punchable face. I can't remember the German word, but it translates to punchable face.
So, what they're saying is if you are someone who cannot afford a lawsuit, then you can kind of come here and crowdfund it through cryptocurrency. I think what's going to happen here is like that internet sleuthing is going to happen, and they're going to get the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And then some guy's going to raise a bunch of money to sue them. And then they're going to figure out it's not true, but they're like, well, I already got the money. Might as well just sue them.
Let's just go forward.
Let's just really clog up the court system, which is already struggling.
The judge is like, do what now? How did this happen? What's going on?
What kind of ape is this?
This is the mutant ape, sir. This is not the Bored Ape Yacht Club. All right, what do we got for... I'm really looking forward to Friday because there's a lot of nonsense.
Security and nonsense.
And see, the best nonsense stories are the ones where they're presented not as nonsense, but are in fact nonsense, and we have a lot of those.
Yeah, there's a great one from NBC.
VPN one?
That's, I would love to go back and... Well, we'll talk about it when it happens.
I was getting angry reading that And then I was like, oh, this is in the nonsense section. Okay, I'm fine. And I
You
calmed
didn't
right
have to
down.
you didn't have to take a hate nap.
On NBC.com, that's not in the nonsense section.
All right, we'll see you guys then. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Friday, and it's January 14th, and today we're doing security and nonsense. Nonsense is a big section today.
So big.
And exciting. But first, let's talk about some horrible security implications that you need to think about. If you are a iPhone user, this one can get you just when you go into a place. You just have to go into a physical location and you are kind of screwed. So turn this off.
An Apple HomeKit bug can send iOS devices into a death spiral. Signing into iCloud will re-trigger the crash even after a full restore.
How do you do it? You name your HomeKit item thing with something with 50,000 characters. A little bit of a buffer overflow. Turns out the buffer overflow is in the iCloud as well. I guess iCloud has enough room to store it, or at least enough characters that the phone can't store it.
It's so insane.
And you can never get it back. And then, like when you fix it, you have to disable the iCloud account so it can't go back and try to sync.
Yeah. Even all the Apple stuff around authentication is super buggy because it's like, oh, I need to update my password. And then it's like, well, what's the password to this computer that's also linked to your account? And it's like,
it's so disgusting.
Just, and it doesn't work most of the time. Your other devices will pop up and be like, do you want to allow this? And you can't actually answer allow or disallow on that device because if you answer allow, it starts another password reset process on that device, ignoring the first device.
You know what else does that? Microsoft Dynamics.
Oh, it's such a mess.
Collective shudder went through the table.
Well, we're all stuck at home, and if you're smart, you're not going to hospitals ever for any reason. It's a captured industry.
I saw this and I thought of Idiocracy.
But maybe you got something that's wrong with you, and it's time to get it checked out. Well, if you are an LG customer, you don't have to go to those pesky healthcare workers. Just turn on your TV.
LG TVs now have a built-in health platform. The article goes on to describe that it's basically a webcam. And doctors can use the built-in webcam to communicate with you, and there's a health app. But I've got news for you. This app is going to be completely dead on arrival. Apple's already got this whole market locked up.
Yeah, and
this is also stupid.
6 months after you buy this TV, that part won't update, and if you accidentally press that button, it'll crash.
Yeah.
Whereas if you subscribe to the Apple ecosystem and your healthcare provider has that, he can get your blood pressure and your heart rate and your blood sugar level and about 7 other variables.
Whether you subscribe or not.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's your Apple ID? Oh, yeah, so you're going to be dead in 6 months. Oh, I need to move on to some other patients.
So, yeah.
We'll send you a package of tissues in the mail so you can mourn yourself.
We'll send you an Apple Home Cancer Test Kit.
Oh.
In case you don't have an LG TV, you could accomplish this with any phone, any smartphone, any Zoom capable
now
PC.
the article correctly points out that an elderly person can't hold their phone far enough away for the doctor to give them an examination. They're going to have to set it up on a tripod or something.
Well, maybe you got to shuffle across the street, get your neighbor to hold it,
or to use a laptop, or literally anything.
Or just
put it on a
lean
table.
your phone up against something.
Yeah.
But no, run out and buy an LG TV, a brand new one. And this was the big NFT debacle this week. It is, I would say, cryptocurrency behaving the way cryptocurrency is supposed to behave. Whereas if you do it stupidly, you lose it.
They managed to get all kinds of takes that I think are incorrect.
And I would say that it's incorrect that they just said, oh, a high-profile person was impacted by this? Let's change the rules.
Yeah.
OpenSea freezes 2.2 million of stolen Bored Apes. Art gallery owner Todd Kramer had his valuable NFT collection stolen from his hot wallet yesterday, so OpenSea froze the stolen assets worth about 2.2 million. So it's not the chain itself is not frozen. It's just OpenSea won't trade them, which is, I think, is okay. Because it's not that the chain itself is centralized, as some of the commenters say. It's that OpenSea won't trade these tokens because they've been flagged as stolen. And that's probably under the law they're required to do that, to not deal in stolen goods. That doesn't mean that they can't be traded on the chain somewhere else, just not through OpenSea.
The list of apes that were affected, I think it gives you more perspective on how ridiculous these apes are and how many of them there are. These, maybe they're non-fungible, but they made tens of thousands of them. Look at this list. Oh, mutants 25,057. That's my favorite.
I have a poster on my wall of that one.
You better not.
Yeah, they'll take it.
Doesn't belong to you. And we have the story about Morgan Stanley, which is, it's not really, it's not new news, but now we know how it happened. And it really is, this was not a hack.
No.
This was not an exploit. This was just stupid people getting rid of technology.
Morgan Stanley has agreed to a settlement figure of $60 million to resolve a data breach lawsuit. Why? What did they do? They just forgot to format a hard drive.
Threw it away, and somebody said, ooh, that comes from a big bank. I wonder if there's anything useful on that. Spoiler alert, there was.
About $60 million of useful on it.
That poor guy who did that, who threw that away.
You think they've tracked it back to one guy?
He's dead now.
I think it's more likely that one of his underlings took the fall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Probably like the guy who actually took the garbage bag out to the curb.
The janitor.
They might have learned that Windows format doesn't actually format a hard drive.
It's a good lesson to learn, but that's a tough way to learn it.
Whew.
And this was a hot story. I didn't pull any of the news articles because, they're really just telling you right here on their website.
The Twitter account of Norton just was roasted alive. It was great.
As well they should be.
Fact, Norton Crypto. Wait, Norton Crypto. What is Norton Crypto? Oh, it's a feature made available in Norton 360 which can utilize mining cryptocurrency for your PC when it's idle. Currently, it's limited to devices that meet the required system requirements.
Why couldn't I just do that on my own and keep more of it?
Yeah, because Norton skims kind of a lot off the top.
It's disgusting. But we've known for a long time that Norton is a company that should not be trusted.
Symantec is like one of those, is the Toys R Us or Sears of, some people bought it and they're basically just running up the debt and they're going to have somebody else handle the hot potato. It's basically dead company.
But that's happened a couple of times already.
Yeah.
Like we're a long way from the originals there. It just keeps getting worse. Well, cameras are everywhere and you cannot escape them. And not only can you not escape them, but it's getting easier and easier to identify you from just little happenstances. You just happen to get a couple of frames from a passing camera and boom, you're in prison.
Italian mafia fugitive arrested in Spain after Google Street View sighting. Convicted murderer, I'm sorry I can't pronounce that name, tracked down in Galapagar where he had lived undetected for 20 years.
Wow. That's like the one guy, the killer.
Golden State.
The Golden State Killer. He was found because someone did a DNA test and it pulled him up.
See, I think that there's a lot more to this story, but they're not letting on, and they just happen to also notice that he was in Google Street View, and they're like, oh, that's a great cover story. But it seems like there's a parallel construction here.
The detective who has been working on this case for 20 years tirelessly was like, you know what, I deserve some time off. So he started playing GeoGuessr, and he happened to get the Street View photo that broke the case.
This guy was cooking at a local restaurant and he had a fruit stand. And apparently the community loved him. Oh. And he was just a cold killer. And when they caught him, he said, I haven't even spoken to my family in 10 years. How did you do this?
and they did not give him a truthful answer.
They claim it was the Street View.
Yeah.
He does have he has a scar on his chin and he has tattoos. During his cooking videos, he was very, very, very careful, never showed his face. They got his tattoos.
Wow.
Don't get tattoos.
Pro criminal tip.
It's not a smart thing to do, especially if you're a criminal. Especially if you're in a criminal gang. Come on. And crypto, of course, at the best of times, a security risk. At the worst of times, straight up theft.
Yeah. Crypto platform Arbix flagged as a rug pull, transfers $10 million. This is funny because the headline should have been crypto platform Arbix, which was previously audited as basically okay, has now been flagged as a rug pull.
Yeah, what was the name of Certicay? Certicay is this company, and they say, hey, you can trust us. We'll figure out what cryptos are scams and what aren't. And they said, oh, this one looks fine.
They're doing things by the book, up until the point they weren't.
Up until the book said, steal it all.
So,
and it was underlined.
Yeah, it was like $10 million in ETH, and they already sent some of it through a coin mixer. So they'll probably be caught, but again, it'll be one of those things where it's like we don't want to reveal too much of how much law enforcement knows about how all of this stuff actually works.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that the mixing services were no longer valid, but this claims that Tornado.cash. Would you ever trust Tornado.cash? They claim that they have a way to completely separate the incoming and the outgoing. I guess they use fresh coins at some point. I don't know how exactly they do it, but supposedly there is no way the other side can find out what went in and what came out.
Unless they get logs from this service, which may actually be run by law enforcement.
Yeah.
That's the level of paranoia you have to have. Crime doesn't pay.
Could very well be their entire building glows. Now this seems like a beautiful thing, and it's like, oh, maybe we can get back to normal, but I think a little bit past the obvious. Think about the TSA, and think about how this is going to be used, because this is going to be like a drug dog. This will signal whenever they want it to, and it means that you can't go wherever they don't want you to go.
Finally, an easy way to test for the thing. This is a device that continually monitors the air for lots of common things that are bad and alerts in 5 seconds if it's detected. Oh, it's reusable up to 300 times.
What do you think, like just at a grocery store? You know the little airlock in a grocery store?
It just constantly...
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep,
What
beep.
amount of time is one of these things floating around in there? Got to be a high amount of time.
We need the robot, the UV robot in there where it can just be like, everybody clear the room. I need to sanitize the room.
You walk past it, it goes off, the UV robot comes over, gets you by the scruff and just like sprays
Scrubbing
you
you,
with UV.
yeah. I'm not wearing sunscreen.
Do not resist, citizen.
I'm pretty sure that happened to Fry in Futurama. When they first defreeze him, all the robots like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, here's a pro tip, and we have not. This is not the first time we've seen this. We've seen it before, and it seems like it's just too tantalizing, right? The unknown is such a draw. People can't help themselves. But if you get a USB drive in the mail and you're not sure who it came from, or you can't verify who it came from.
I saw one of these that was $500 of Olive Garden gift cards, and they were like, I really want to plug this in. I was like, no, you do not want to plug that in.
Why would somebody send you
Exactly.
$500 of
Yeah.
Olive Garden gift cards?
Yeah.
It's just don't do it. Do not do it. Or get your old beater laptop out that's got Linux on it, and just satisfy your curiosity. But Jesus,
FBI hackers use bad USB to target defense firms with ransomware. And I know what you're thinking. This was a mass storage device, and there was a virus on it. You're wrong. It was a HID device, a keyboard. You can't disable those at an administrative level. And, well, I mean, you could, but no one ever does.
it started installing, but I imagine because it was human interface device, it couldn't hide that, right?
Right.
So it was just like right there on your screen. You're like, no. You know how sometimes people touch the screen? It's like, no, stop.
It'd be really easy to interfere it, too, with just pounding the keyboard with your fist to insert extra characters.
Like, you're just sitting there pressing the F button. It's like, unplug it. But apparently it got some people.
It did.
Yeah. I imagine some people plug it in. They're like, oh, it's doing stuff.
Yeah.
Better let it finish.
Oh, PowerShell. This is serious. I see the IT administrator use that from time to time.
That's a really long URL.
Is that where I get my gift cards?
And that was a little bit of nonsense. A nice transition story. But now this is the real nonsense. I don't know how we can effectively talk about this without tripping 500 different alarms.
You're just going to have to read the headline.
But let's just say that, this is not an original thought. Obviously, a lot of commentators have already made this, but the part that's bad is not the removing of the face. It's not the killing of the person and then taking their flesh. It's when you put it over your own face, but only if your face is different. That's the thing that's bad. Think about that.
Dead by Daylight devs remove Leatherface mask because people were doing the thing in quotes in the headline. And it actually, the one tiny piece of evidence that this is maybe people behaving badly is that one of the characters who, is darker skinned, their face gets used as a mask much more at a much higher rate than the other characters, because you have to kill a certain number of people in the video game in order to you
have to get that
to
character 25 times.
Yeah.
So they're saying that because one of the characters has different color skin, the Leatherface players prefer that one, which they presume
Is racist.
is because they are using it as sort of like a racial thing.
Are they? Is everybody that plays Dead by Daylight 12 years old? I don't know.
Just make Leatherface black. Why not? Here it is. This is the one. This is the article of the week, in my opinion. And it's because if you believe that the mainstream media is still trustworthy, I hope that this, if you've not seen the videos about this is a threat to our democracy, then this is the one that's going to do it. I guarantee you. There are all these like truth in journalism activist groups. If you dig down to the bottom of all of them, it's Facebook and Google. Every single one of them, I guarantee you, it's Facebook and Google. And if you think about it, why would Facebook and Google want to say this? Oh, I think it's pretty clear.
Here's why you probably don't need to rely on a VPN anymore. The widespread use of encryption has made public internet connections far less of a security expert threat, cybersecurity experts say. So this article, okay,
X-doubt.
even if this article does not mention at all DNSSEC, secure DNS. Secure DNS, even if you're using a VPN, if you still happen to use your ISP's DNS server, remember how ISPs were actually, we did a story like a year ago, ISPs were actually blocking DNS traffic to DNS servers other than theirs. And the only reason you would do that is if you're spying and monetizing that data. And then we get stories later where it's like, oh yeah, they are actually monetizing that data, even though they said they weren't. No mention of that anywhere in this story.
And if you this story, again, I really recommend you read this story because this is a masterclass in all of the bad faith argument techniques.
Yes.
For example, let's not argue the point. Let's choose another villain, which is true, and let's argue that point, even though it has nothing to do with when it's valid.
Most commercial VPNs are snake oil from a security standpoint.
True.
Said Nicholas Weaver, cybersecurity lecturer at the University of California, Berkeley. They don't improve your security at all.
Also true.
They just shift who can spy on you.
But if you use a good one, that doesn't count. And they also talk about HTTPS, and they act like HTTPS is this magic bullet that solves everything.
But it doesn't cover literally any other protocol, including DNS. DNS reveals almost as much as HTTPS about what you're doing and what's happening.
Other comments, the recommended looked like a button for a second, and I was like, are they?
NBC knows better than that.
Almost no news sites allow comments anymore.
Yeah. And they talk about how phishing is much more of a big thing. Yeah, for people who are literally trying to steal from you, yeah, it's more about phishing. A VPN doesn't protect you as much from that as from the people who are spying on you at every level of the situation.
That's like saying a chainmail is not going to protect you against gunshot wounds the way that it protects you against stab wounds.
Also, there was no talk of deep packet inspection or traffic shaping. Or
Traffic shaping is a lot easier when you've got the ports.
How about being blocked from the Pirate Bay and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that an IP-based block doesn't work through a VPN.
Or any of those countries that are doing it. Turkey, when they block stuff, they just do a lazy DNS. They don't do anything else.
It is kind of a masterclass in disingenuous arguing, isn't it? Because it doesn't address any of those things.
Doesn't address any of the real issues.
No.
But it's all factual.
And DNSSEC, as the lowest hanging fruit, secure DNS, like no mention of that, huge red flag.
Well, this one is a little bit of I guess more opinion than anything else, but it does go to show you that the world is changing a bit at the highest levels as things are becoming more and more acceptable.
Billionaires are embracing crypto in case money, quote unquote, goes to hell.
I don't know that you could. I mean, the SHTF version of crypto, I don't know how you ever get back to it, right? Or trade it.
Yeah.
You'd have to have like individual USB drives that's labeled like, all right, here's a $10 one. Here's a $7.
And then, it could still, multiple people could be in possession of that until one of them actually moves it into somewhere else.
Yeah, when the electricity comes back on, you got to be fast.
Move. I don't think If it was really bad, I don't think the electric would come back on because our grid sucks.
Then what are you going to do with your crypto?
Who knows?
Throw it away.
They never think about that, do they?
They don't think about that. And another thing that they didn't think about was how history would look at them when they were burning women. But so many years later, I guess we're finally going to say sorry for that.
Women executed 300 years ago as witches in Scotland are set to receive pardons. Oh, it only took 300 years.
I'm sure they'll feel so much better.
Yeah. I feel like if I was just like, keep your pardon. I don't want it.
I want. You remember the guy in Missouri, the reporter that reported the Social Security numbers being printed and the governor's, trying to accuse him of a crime. I wonder if he'll get a pardon in 300 years, assuming that he actually, gets accused of a crime or that actually goes through.
I bet as their lungs were burning and the flesh was cracking off of their toes, they were sitting there thinking, I better get an apology in 300 years.
Because I didn't do any witchcraft. What if they did? What if they were witches? What if they did curse the king's ships?
I'll do it again.
I think now that's a free speech issue. It's like I have a constitutional right.
Right, to curse the king's ships.
Definitely curse. Except you can't say a certain phrase about Brandon.
I guess it's the queen's ships now. How the tables have turned. Burned for being a woman, now there's a woman on the throne.
Oh yeah, but she's just there because somebody died.
That's true of all of them.
Taco Bell, this was a hot story, and
we discussed it on stream a little bit, so this might be a little bit of a rehash.
Yeah, when you break it down, I just don't see the value.
No.
It doesn't seem to be a good value.
Taco Bell launches taco subscription service for $10 per month. You can get one taco a day, the very cheapest one. This seems like just a way to upsell you on buying other things.
Yeah.
A lot of people quickly went to, okay, can I get 4 subscriptions? Because if I could get 4 a day for $40 a month, then maybe I'll do that. No, can't do that. It's through the app. I don't think they'll let you double up.
That's why you have to have burner phones. Or just for Taco Bell subscriptions.
Well, like 5 friends that you take with you just so you can get your tacos.
Do I have cancer because I ate 4 Taco Bell tacos a day, or because I carried 4 burner phones
$40
with
a
me?
month. I feel like that would just buy you all the tacos. Like you wouldn't need to use the
Nah, because the tacos is probably what, $1.50, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be.
I just don't get the value.
So it would be $45 a month to get 1 taco a day, right? Something like that, plus tax.
It's a pretty good savings. Nobody's going to go to Taco Bell every day.
Not from 1 taco. What they hope is that you'll go.
Your colon literally won't let you.
We're like, hey, what happened? You didn't get your free taco yesterday. It's like, I was at the ER, but I'm back today.
They told me not to eat this again, but I'm here.
I figured out a new way to pay for my subscriptions. I'm going to be selling my farts in jars.
Oh, that would be terrible for her. Because what if she couldn't get her farts out? Or what if she couldn't trust her farts?
Oh. She gives a little something extra in one of them jars.
You think people would dislike that, or would they be into that?
Oh.
In this world, I don't know anymore.
Well, Wendell, you've had some recent experience with dropping stuff off at the thrift store.
Yeah, so much stuff.
Do you think there was anything alive in there?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Definitely some insects, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully not something like this. Krista, what would you do if you went home today and Little Cricket was just completely missing?
Oh, I'd be very upset if this happened to me.
These people were freaking out, but the story has a happy ending.
Cat reunited with family after being mistakenly donated to thrift store.
I can hear that cat's meow just from this photo. Meow!
They got rid of a recliner, and the cat was hiding in the recliner, and they didn't realize.
Sometimes Toast spends hours under the couch. I don't know what he's doing under
Really?
there. Yeah.
Isn't that usually like when we first got Cricket, the first day he didn't come out from under the couch because he was freaked out because he was in a new space. But yours does that all the time?
No, it's not. I don't think he's afraid of anything because he'll go from my lap. Like after he's saturated with his pets, he's had enough, then he'll just calmly go under the couch.
Is that because he doesn't want to be bothered by his brother?
Yeah, maybe.
He's usually the botherer.
Don't bother me in my happy place.
Maybe it's just because it's dark under there. I don't know. Well, privacy is gone. If you are going to ride around with human body parts in your truck, you just don't have privacy.
You just can't do it.
And that's the world we live in. You got to be aware of that in 2022.
Lawyer claims Las Vegas man happened to steal a truck with a severed head and other body parts inside. That's his murder one defense. So this guy was stopped for a traffic citation. It was expired tags. and the police noticed there were body parts in the back.
Listen, sir, those aren't my body parts.
Here's the toughest thing about his defense that he's going to have to get over.
A detective testified that multiple firearms and knives were recovered from the scene, along with tape and plastic bags. Prosecutors argued that Hall was a danger to society and asked for his bail not to be granted, which it was not.
I'm sure he was just going for a day of shooting, and he wanted to
And
collect
some
all the shell
community
casings.
service, yeah, some trash pickup around the
Put 'em
range.
in that plastic, and then I guess the duct tape to secure it.
And then he went to throw the trash bag in the back and was like, oh, it's full of body parts. I'm going to drive to the police station right now.
Alternative headline, Dexter decided it was time to retire.
Aren't they bringing that show back again?
Yes.
Did he do one last one? Was that like the final hurrah? Well, here in good old Kentucky, our Interstate 65 completely broke down during the snowstorm.
Oh, multiple interstates. It wasn't just one.
And had a lot of people stranded, but they were not stranded quite as long as the poor people, was this in Virginia, I think?
Yeah, it was just outside of D.C.
On I-95. And if you were stuck there, you probably had a really bad experience, but one man in particular had insult to injury.
I-95 shutdown. Uber rider trapped in traffic slammed with a $600 bill. So he was stuck for 9 hours, but his fare was $200, which he paid. And he's like, I'm cool with that. It's fine. Paid the driver. Also tipped the driver. Apparently it was good company. But then Uber billed him another $400 on top of that. And that's what he was complaining about. Of course, when Fox News got a hold of Uber said, you know what, we're just going to make all that go away.
Yeah.
But it does point out something that I did not know about Uber. I knew they could do the surge pricing, but I didn't know the price could change while you were in the car.
Yeah, that's kind of crappy.
Yeah, that's terrible. So he was saying, hey, even if it's raining hard, I'm never getting in another Uber.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. And he got away with this because there was a big outcry and there was a news story. Yeah. If it had not been, they'd take their $600. You know they would.
Absolutely. And he was fine with the $200. He's like, okay, I've come to grips with this. And it's like, let's triple it.
Can I take an 8-hour Uber for $200?
I mean,
that seems impossible. Is it because there was no mileage?
Probably.
Just sitting in traffic, yeah. That sucks for the Uber driver, too, I bet. Just sitting there.
Well, it sucks for everybody who was on that road, right?
Yeah.
I think what the other thing Uber is afraid of is the Uber driver is going to look at it and be like, wait a minute, you only paid me $50 for that ride, and you guys were going to keep $550 of the money for that? What?
Oh, yeah, I bet the driver didn't see a penny of that, right?
Probably.
Also, I think someone passed away in the I-95. Like
Yeah, I can see that.
He left his car, and I guess was out in the woods, and he was found not very far from his car, but he had passed out in the snow.
Did the car have fuel?
I don't know. The story didn't say. The one that I read.
We think it was just too socially awkward to go to another car and be like, listen, I'm dying.
I wonder if he went to go pee or something, and then it was whiteout conditions, and he couldn't see. I don't know. Sad.
That's a good advertisement for the Gatorade company. Well, Cheech and Chong, who are weed comedy, I guess, one of the first weed comedy people out there, and they've had really strong careers since then. But they are not done. They are incredibly old, I think in their 80s. But that does not mean that they cannot have NFTs. Do you think there's any chance either one of them understand anything about this?
Absolutely not.
I would love a live stream of Tommy Chong, explaining cryptocurrency and NFTs to me.
We would be up to do that at any point.
That would be fantastic.
We'll make that happen. Cheech and Chong legendary comedy duo will launch large-scale collectible brand titled My Homies. The first series will be a non-fungible token art collection titled Homies in Dreamland.
In other words, I don't think Cheech and or Chong have anything to do with this.
No.
It is an artist team called Easy Partners. If you want to check them out, that's all the people who are actually going to be doing this.
They just put their name on it. That's something.
What do they call it? Something or other? Homies in Dreamland. Do you guys? There's a fascinating story about the little homies that came in those coin machines.
Oh yeah,
that was a massive, massive business for a lot of years. Homies were overwhelmingly popular.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And then one day it just went away.
Did they appreciate more than Beanie Babies?
During that time, absolutely. I don't know if it was much appreciation as it was just the volume of sales. Like they'd fill those little machines up with them and they'd be gone the next day. And so here we are starting up in 2022. And I think that we can safely say that the 2-year plan is dead.
Right.
Because Krista is enjoying her lifestyle. She got a cat.
I got a beautiful little boy. We call him our Christmas cat because we got him at Christmas time.
And you might
kitty.
You might not have known this, Krista, but you getting a cat at this time in your life, particularly a cat, means that you are completely godless.
Oh, right. Pope says having pets instead of babies is selfish. I don't think that's supported anywhere in Scripture, but all right.
So you should be having babies because you want to transfer your love to your babies, not your fur babies. Also, oh, right, it's a different story. I thought it was the same story, but it's not. It's the next story, which is amazingly similar.
Atheists prefer cats and Christians love dogs, study shows. What if you love both? What does that mean?
You're going to burn in hell.
Well, yeah, what if you own both? Love and own both? I think we did a Twitter poll a long time ago where it was like cats or dogs. And a lot of people were upset that I didn't include an option for both.
Isn't it overwhelmingly dog, though?
It was actually pretty close. I think dogs won out by a small margin.
But I mean the national.
Oh, I don't know.
I think dogs are way ahead.
I don't know. We have a L1 Pets thread on the forum that people post to as well, which is excellent.
A lot of people have cats in the sense that there's an outdoor cat that they feed occasionally, but otherwise don't really keep up with.
How do you think they feel about Jesus?
They seem to be fans based on my own personal experience.
You know what?
Club.
I know this is controversial, but I don't think the Pope actually knows the answer to that question. Is Shkreli, he's still in prison, right?
I don't know.
He's got to be getting out soon,
I don't know if he's in prison or on home arrest.
Oh, right. Oh, because of the thing. I bet that's true, yeah. But we know he doesn't have this because not only is it seized by the government, but they have decided to reprice it. How much did they reprice it for? Well,
that's a trade secret. The government released these never-before-seen photos of Wu-Tang Clan's legendary Once Upon a Time in Shaolin album.
But no price because that's a secret.
I can't imagine that that's a secret. Come on.
But it's literally a secret.
There's some art on the floor in the background there.
What do you think that's worth? Also a secret. There it is.
Oh.
Beautiful. I would pay...
You're a Wu-Tang fan, right?
I'm not really a Wu-Tang fan. I would pay
I don't
probably
really know their songs.
$19.95 for that.
After hearing a great sales pitch from a guy on the TV, right?
But I'm not paying state sales tax.
We got the seller has to pay the
they
state
have
sales
to cover
tax.
that. All right. This was a lot of fun on Twitter because it is, it's ridiculous. I guess it's good, right?
I don't mind it.
It can't be bad, but people were comparing how much you could realistically do on this machine versus what you were shoveling into your mouth.
I'm honestly surprised the insurers are okay with this.
Well, it's China.
I'm still surprised.
It's time for McDonald's to be fun again. I'm for this.
You think they could do it in 2022?
McDonald's China launches exercise bikes for people to work off a fast food binge. So what I'm imagining is somebody's got the big chocolate shake and they're taking a
drink
swig,
and they're like,
and then they stumble or something on the exercise bike and get a lung full of ice cream. That's a very hard to recover from situation.
So you're speaking from experience there. Now, these are not just for your own health. They also feed a charging port so you can charge your phone while you eat.
That was what clued me into the fact that this is a publicity stunt, and that Walmart, and that McDonald's is not actually serious about this.
Remember when they used to have play places everywhere? And they had those, they were shaped like hamburgers, but they were stools, and they kind of, wobbled around. Those were so fun.
The article mentions that those were recycled in order to make the plastic for these.
Oh, that's sad. Because I liked the play place.
I bet swimming around in a ball pit burns a lot of calories versus that.
Yeah.
It's a full body workout.
Although if you're an adult, it's frowned upon for you to play in the ball pit.
I had to fetch many kids out of the play place as I got older, and I had younger cousins coming up through it.
Whenever you're trying to evade the McDonald's employees through the tube system, also huge calorie burn.
And also dodging like the poops
Look,
and the tissues with boogers in them. And
the employees come out after you. It's like, sir, you're only allowed to take one honey mustard packet from the stand. You only got one order of nuggets. Come back.
the employee's got a taser.
You grab the whole bucket of honey mustards and just turn them over and run. Anarchy. I saw the headline and I was like, that's going to be stupid. There's no way that's
you
going
watch the video and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's not going to be what we think it is, and it is exactly what we think. This is great. This is a hilarious thing because it seems like the fish are actually in control.
Yeah.
And I did not think that would be possible.
Scientists in Israel train a goldfish to drive on land, and you should check out the video because it's a goldfish that's literally...
Watch out, LiDAR.
There's a bunch of people in our audience right now that are putting a glass goldfish bowl on tank treads so that their goldfish can drive around.
The top view is not as good. But wherever he goes...
Look at him go.
They took him outside in one of them. I don't know where
Did
I saw
he?
it. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, they were trained. They trained him to avoid obstacles and to seek treats and stuff like that.
Oh, so wait, that's terrible because I thought everyone always thought goldfish were stupid, but this kind of maybe points out they're maybe a little bit intelligent.
Yeah, they were. They did seem to prove that they were moving towards something they wanted.
Yeah.
Huh.
They should have brought some cats in there and see if it worked in the other direction. Here's a disappointing follow-up. I'm real sad about this, but we had to know that this was the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
Curious cube-shaped hut on the moon. That's just another rock. You can see the original picture, and the rover was going to take a month to get there, dodging treacherous holes in the ground and debris and craters and all sorts of stuff. Well, it made it and took a picture of the rock, and it's nothing remarkable.
And it's not even cube-shaped.
It's not even a cool rock. As far as moon rocks go, it's the worst one.
Well, if there's a moon alien on the other side of that rock, like pushed against it, like,
Scared.
oh, God. Please
almost
don't
found
come any
me.
closer. Oh my God.
This has been trending all over Twitter all week.
So, did we talk about her going to the emergency room?
We
Yes.
Okay. So there
We've done several follow-ups on this
It's
person.
been a trinity of stories. The first, and she is brilliant. First of all, this girl is a brilliant marketer. Don't think that this girl is stupid. She's not. She's a little bit evil. She's definitely taking advantage of the simps, but she's brilliant because she opened up. She did the news press release where it's like, "Hey, I fart in jars," and people were like, "Ah, ha, 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 that's such a good story." Meanwhile, she sold thousands of fart jars.
Yeah.
How many did she say she sold?
220,000 worth.
Oh, and that's $1,000 each.
Yeah.
So 220 fart jars in 1 month. That is a lot. Then she press released. She was like, "Oh, I had to go to the emergency room because I'm eating things to make me fart so much because so many fart jars."
It was brilliant though because there's photos from inside the hospital, and I thought I was having a heart attack, but no, they said it was just really bad gas.
Because she'd been eating like hardcore fart engineering
Broccoli.
foods.
Yeah.
After that, guess what happened? Sales picked up for fart jars. And this is the master stroke. Google or Facebook or somebody should hire her for the community team because this girl understands it.
Now she's selling fart jar NFTs. So not real farts in a jar. She's given that up after her stay in the hospital. She's selling NFTs of the...
Oh, she'll be back. She'll be
What is
farting
this
in
reality?
jars before February. Mark my word.
She's going to be running her own ad agency before it's over with.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think actually didn't they mention that she did start her own thing?
I mean, that's the whole reason these people go on reality shows usually.
Now here's the crazy part. I don't know if you guys read the whole article or read the comments, but here's the crazy part, all right? Get yourself ready for this because this blows my mind. All right? Slutty picture.
Oh, the Instagram embed isn't working.
Slutty picture. What is that? Look at that toe. That's 2 toes.
Wait, she has 2 toes merged
Welded
together?
together, I guess.
Is that, or is that a shoe?
1, 2.
That's not a shoe. She's barefoot.
See the toenails? 1, 2, 3, plus 2. Look at the size of that monster.
It's got to be a trick of the light.
Is there other comments? Go to the Instagram.
Yeah.
link.
Instagram comments were crazy. It's in the article. The article's like, most people were just talking about her toe.
Did she address that? We're going to do a follow-up story.
My drink came out my nose when I saw that toe.
What if she just shopped it for this reason?
Oh, that would be
Now-
like that would be the ultimate. Just
That's a level of savviness that, like, I might even think about going to join her OnlyFans just to be like, listen, you have an amazing mind.
you're not there for her body.
No.
You're there for her mind.
The thing you pulled with the toe?
Genius.
Oh, look! Oh, there's just even more articles about her that we didn't even know about.
Oh, who's the certain celeb?
They're
Just
gonna
scroll
make you
down.
read like 5 paragraphs to figure that out. Fartpreneur. Oh, there's the heart attack scare.
Oh.
Poor girl. God, could that top be cut any lower? Literally not. I don't think it's going to tell us. You know what? Let's not give her any more.
We can all laugh. We can all enjoy the laugh on our morning commute.
She reveals her special diet. I like how every picture is different.
Oh, she's probably got a lot. You know, she's got to stay relevant. Got to post a lot.
I mean, let's be honest. Screen Rant has probably seen record traffic because of this.
Oh, this says she's only charging $500 per jar, so she sold twice as many as we thought.
Some of them, I think that she raised the price maybe.
These
Because the other
articles-
one definitely said 1,000.
Oh yeah, this is only when she had sold 90,000. So once she hit the 100K mark, she was like, "Okay, we gotta adjust here."
Yeah.
But these stories, there's no information here.
Yeah. No.
What a
You just-
brilliant girl.
It'd probably be easier just to go to her Instagram and read it straight from the source.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you next week.
Thanks
Thanks for
the
watching
news.
and hanging out.
Bye.